Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Very wonderful to be here with you tonight. And the devotees were just talking about book distribution and how we're spreading the Krishna consciousness throughout the Sydney area. And I'd like to speak a little bit from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srinvan Grinan Samsmarayam Chachindayan Namani Rupani Chamangalani Te Kriyasu Yastvachcharanaravindayo Avishta Chetana Bhavaya Kalpate. Even while engaged in various activities, devotees whose minds are completely absorbed at your lotus feet and who constantly hear, chant, contemplate and cause others to remember your transcendental names and forms are always on the transcendental platform. And thus they can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here Bhakti Yoga has explained it very nicely. Rupa Goswami has said that anyone who has dedicated his life to the service of the Lord, Iha Yasya Hare Rasya, by his activities, mind, words, Karmana Manasa Gira, may stay in any condition of life, Nikalasya Pyavashta Asu, and yet is no longer actually conditioned but is liberated, Jivan Mukta Sauchate. Even though such a devotee is in a material body, he has nothing to do with the body, or is a transcendently situated person. Narayana Parasarvena Kutaschana Vidyate. Because a devotee is engaged in transcendental activities, he is not afraid of being materially positioned or materially embodied. Mama Janmani Janmaneshware Bhavatad Bhakti Ahitaki Tari. This is the prayer of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Narad Muni says that even one who falls from the platform of devotional service, he is not lost, whereas non-devotees are lost entirely because they are not engaged in transcendental service. Bhagavad Gita therefore recommends Satatam Kitayantumam Yatantascha Dridavata Namasyantascha Mam Bhakja Nityadukta Upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, the great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So, here Prabhupada elaborates on this word kriyasu, meaning by doing service, by manual labor or by work. It is very important because one should engage in some practical activities in the service of Krishna. And so in our Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada says, all our activities are concentrated upon distributing Krishna literature. This is very important. One may approach any person and induce him to read Krishna literature so that in the future one may also become a devotee. Such activities are recommended in this verse. Such activities will always remind the devotees of the Lord's lotus feet by fully concentrating on distributing books for Krishna. One is fully absorbed in Krishna. This is the samadhi. The samadhi means the full trance. So Prabhupada very much emphasizes, and one has to get a lot of knowledge from books like Bhagavad Gita. And I remember Prabhupada, when I was a young brahmachari, I was distributing books probably every day for 5 years. And he called us a few times to his room. And he said, and actually when we all came to his room, he gave each one of us a rasgulla. and some gulab jamuns also. So he said, thank you very much for distributing so many of my books. And he said, anyone who does this service, my Guru Maharaj, he also asked me. And one has to hear nicely, because he said, you're distributing so many of these books, but are you reading these books? He actually asked. He said, you are distributing so many of these books, but are you reading these books? You have to also read these books. You can't be just salesmen. You have to read, you have to know. You have to be self-realized soul. Then when you give to others, then it'll be very, very effective. And here, also Prabhupada, he said that my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say that when you select a guru to hear from, actually, you don't select the guru just by seeing. Oh, he has nice hair, he has a nice beard, he is very handsome, he's got good presence. He said, you don't select guru like that. But you have to select it from the ear, from what you hear from the guru. Not just what is the guru's looking. The guru, so-called guru, can be looking one way, but the other thing. So you have to hear and you have to see the activities of the guru. And then this is very, very important. He said to Prabhupada said, not that one who has got some very good hair, or some very nice beard, or some beautiful feature. This is not the way to pick the guru. Guru must be speaking nicely, shruti, and from the shruti and smriti. Vedas are called shruti, and the other works, there's a smriti. But we were talking this morning about one has to present everything nicely from the shruti, smriti, Puranas. This is very important because the path of the spiritual life is not so easy, especially in the Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, you know, the Rajagun and the Tamagun are very strong. Just like we're living in Sydney. Everyone is very passionately going, driving fast, working hard. And there's sometimes problems, sometimes fighting. It's not so easy. So to think of the spiritual things is more difficult. To actually practice the spiritual things is more difficult. One needs to get a lot of knowledge from books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and one has to learn these things from the Guru. Just like at our program last night, I was saying that the demigods, they went to Lord Brahma, and when there was trouble in the heavenly planets, Suras and Asuras fighting, and Lord Brahma says, oh, we have to go to the Jagat Guru. The Jagat Guru means the Guru of everything, the Guru of the universe. That is Krishna. Because only when there's big trouble, then you have to go to the big person. And the biggest of all is the Supreme Personality. So we have to go to the Jagat Guru to hear from Krishna what is the best way to handle the situation. So here, Prabhupada explains that the hearing is very, very important, practicing, and one has to do some nice service for Krishna. And of the service, Prabhupada was very happy for the book distribution. Very, very happy. He said the book distribution is actually also hearing and chanting simultaneously together. Hearing and chanting. Here he says here, and I remember this, he said this to us in one class. He was giving one class and someone asked the question, Prabhupada, he said, what is the value of distributing your books? Distributing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada's eyes went, I saw Prabhupada's eyes went very big. Oh, he is very benefited. The person who receives this book and the one who gives the book, they are so benefited. Here it is. If one, he says here, be assured that there is no more direct way to preach than to distribute Krishna conscious books. Whoever gets a book is benefited. If one reads the book, one is benefited still more. Or if one gives the book to someone else for reading, then both the person who gives the book and the other person who receives the book, they are both benefited. Even if one does not read the book, but simply holds the book and sees it, they are benefited. And I remember Prabhupada, he held the Bhagavatam. He said, just if you, even if they don't read it, they just see it. If they just touch it, and he touched his hand, just if you just touch it. This is the book Bhagavata. We have the person Bhagavata and the book Bhagavata. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So even if they just see or touch it, doesn't matter they read it, even if they go home. One of my godbrothers, he told me before he was devotee, he went to some function in someone's home, and he was not associating, he wasn't in good mood. He was a little bit separate from the others. He just sat on the lounge, others were talking and doing other things, but he sat by himself, and as he was sitting, he felt under the cushion, one little bit lumpy. So he said, something is under the cushion. So he went, and under the cushion, it was Bhagavad Gita. Under the cushion. So he looked at Bhagavad Gita, what is this book? And he started reading. And he said from that contact, after some time, he met the devotee, he became devotee. It wasn't his book even. He just went someplace, under the cushion, he read, he became devotee. From that book. So Prabhupada said, yes, these books should be profusely, in any way, in any place, without discrimination. We don't know, sometimes someone, you show the book to someone and they take it, maybe they don't read it, but they take it home, someone else reads, some friend comes. We don't know where that book is going. Even if someone throws the book. One time one man told me he was working in the rubbish dump. He's working in the rubbish dump, the big council rubbish dump. And he was working in there and he found one book. And it was, what did he say? And he picked up, well, why did anyone throw this book? The Science of Self-Realization. And then he began to read. Then he started coming to the temple and he picked the book from the rubbish dump. Now we don't know exactly. The book goes where he wants to go. So it is very, very important, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was all, we call the mridanga. Mridanga is the drum. When we play the drum, and we play the drum, mridanga drum, in the kirtan. And so we have the kirtan with the mridanga drum. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would say that the book distribution is the Briyat Mridanga. The big mridanga. They said the mridanga can be heard just like tonight, someone was playing the mridanga, and maybe outside and around nearby they can hear the mridanga. So only short distance. But the Briyat Mridanga, this drum can be heard everywhere. The books, they can go all over the world. So just like how many devotees, just like the whole of the Indonesian yatra. I'm also go to the Indonesia. And so Indonesia was started from the books. One of my godbrothers went to Indonesia and went to one book fair. And he booked there and got one table. He was just putting Prabhupada's books there. And then one husband and wife came, they were professors, they were lecturers in Bali, in Singaraja. And so they were talking with him about the books, first time they had seen. So they bought some books, they bought Bhagavad Gita, some other books. They took back. And they were reading a little bit, and their daughter especially was reading. And at that time she was studying medicine. She was in the university, and her husband, he was studying law. And they were both students. So she took, and she read, and he read, and from the mother and father, and from the daughter, and now as her husband, they became the first devotees of the Indonesia. And from then, they spread to all their student friends. All this, and within 2 or 3 years, it was like a Hare Krishna explosion in the Indonesia from just the books. Just the books. And in Russia and in so many countries like that. So Prabhupada would very much emphasize, and he would be very happy. Please offer all the devotees my blessings. Their enthusiasm for distributing my books will please me very much. Not only will I be pleased, but my Guru Maharaj will also be pleased, and they will all be blessed. This is very good news. Pritivite chejato nagarharigram savatrapacharho bemurnam. This is the way to spread the Krishna consciousness in every town and village of the world. I remember many years ago, we were the first devotees to go to Tasmania. Some of you from India may not know where is the Tasmania. But the Tasmania is just, you go to Melbourne and you have to go over the ocean, there's one big island, that is the Tasmania. So, many years ago, no devotees had ever gone to the Tasmania. And we were going by the ferry. And still the ferry goes there. Nearby our temple, the ferry goes. And so, but in those days the ferry was more slow. And sometimes going on the ocean was you got very sick. And it was like overnight, you had to go 12 hours, I can't remember how long. But then when we were coming into the Tasmania, we had kirtan, because we were the first devotees. So we wanted to go to that place with the kirtan. And we had many books. We carried we took our van, we took 2 vans, and filled with the books. And so, but first we had the kirtan, the mridanga with the mridanga, and then when we got to the Tasmania, then we brought the Briyat Mridanga, all the books, and we sold so many Bhagavad Gitas they had never seen, Hare Krishna. First of all, we would go chanting, and then we would just go Dodi and Kirtan, and in the street and chanting everywhere, doing programs also, inviting the people, and selling so many books. And from that time, so many devotees have come from the Tasmania. So there's many wonderful stories of book distribution, and Prabhupada says he's thanking his devotees many times. So our movement is based on this. I'm very pleased to see how nice the book distribution is increasing in Germany. Give those 2 boys who have done so nicely my thanks. Krishna will bless them. Please offer all the devotees my blessings. So wonderful. Go on increasing more and more. And he says here, to one letter, he said, you should become the topmost. And now I heard that Sydney, as the devotees here are very enthusiastic for distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And the brahmacharis are now also, there are many of the congregation devotees, is that correct? Are going out. And now Sydney has become number 1, is that correct? Number 1 book distribution temple in the whole of the Australasia, is it? Yeah. That is a big thing, because New Zealand has been number 1 for a long time. Yeah. With Devamrita Maharaj, and he's got so many disciples distributing many books for years. And now the transcendental competition. And Prabhupada says that that is very nice you're distributing so many books. I do not want money, buildings, or anything. I simply want to see that my books are being distributed, because you are doing that, I am very, very happy. This is a letter to Praladnanda Maharaj, who comes here quite regularly. He was a long-time book distributor when he was a brahmachari. Even when a sannyasi, he was still sometimes going and distributing the books. So he writes, I like to receive the report of the book sales. It also gives encouragement to the other devotees to see how all the other devotees of the world are distributing these books and giving Krishna consciousness to so many other people of the world. In Mayapur, my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was just printing 1 paper. It was selling only for a few paisa. Sometimes whenever one brahmachari would go to Navadvip and sell even a few copies, I would see my Guru Maharaj become so happy. Even if the brahmachari was not a very important member my Guru Maharaj would become very, very pleased with him. He personally instructed me that books are more important than even the big temples. So I'm always emphasizing the book distribution. It is the better kirtan. It is the better chanting. Of course, chanting should not stop, but book distribution is the best kirtan. So in the 50th anniversary year of the incorporation of ISKCON, we're encouraging everyone to glorify Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, this is, there's one quote here that Prabhupada said, this gives me life. He said, even I am old man and I do not have so much energy. Before, when I was young, I had a lot of energy. I would eat nice prasadam. Now I have to be very careful. He said that, when I was young, I used to eat halva, all these things, and I was very strong. I had good, he said, he went, Prabhupada, I remember one time he went like that, and I was very strong, you know, but now, he said, now is like flat tire. He said, so, but even though my body is old, when I hear of the book distribution, how it's increasing all over the world, then I become like a young man. I become so enthusiastic. And I remember one professor in South India, he told me that I am so impressed by Swami Prabhupada's books, he said. His purports are so nice. He said, when I read his purports, I become so enlivened. And I think to myself that Krishna must have stood behind him and just told him, you write, you say like this, you say like that, and then you make this comment. He must have stood behind Swami Bhaktivedanta. Because how can anyone say these things like that? So this is a fact that Prabhupada was empowered, and amongst his God brothers, they would say, we recognize that Swami Prabhupada, Swami Bhaktivedanta, they would say, his great contribution that he would spread to Krishna consciousness amongst us, they would say. He said, he is some big contribution for spreading our Guru Maharaj's mission and the instructions of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. That is his greatest contribution. The Sankirtan devotees are very, very dear to Krishna. Krishna immediately recognizes them as the greatest servants. Just like during the war, Prabhupada says. A farm boy or ordinary clerk goes to fight for his country on the front. Immediately he becomes a national hero for his sincere effort. So Krishna immediately recognizes a preacher of Krishna consciousness takes all risks to deliver his message. It's called Dhira Vrata. Determined, Drita Vrata should be Drita Vrata, determined. These boys and girls are Mahatmas. They are Mahatmas. So, of course, going out and making effort, this is such a great Mahatmanastu Mampata Daivim Prakriti Asrita. They are under the protection of the divine energy. Because any engagement in service to Krishna is transcendental. And in the verse I was reading that if one is, especially with mind, body, words, whole life, then that person is always in the transcendental position. And any service, whether book distribution, I remember one time when Prabhupada was giving the class and he was talking about the yogis and how they do the meditation and how devotees, they are also yogis because they are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, in spiritual life. And some of the ladies were making the garlands. While Prabhupada was giving the class, some of the ladies were making some garlands. And he stopped and he said, just like these ladies, he said, I consider them the best of the yogis. They are the best of the yogis because they are making the garland for Radharani, they are making the garland for Krishna, they are making the garland for Jagannath, for Gaurnitai. They are not thinking other things. They are thinking, I'm Krishna garland, just fully concentrate. So when they are like that, they are the best of the yogis. They don't think other things. So Krishna immediately recognizes such a person. Here he says, whenever there is a publication in any language, it enlivens me 100 times. So go on spreading this movement more and more, and great personalities in the world are very eager to help society, to help human society. But actually no one can render more better service than one who distributes the knowledge of spiritual realization in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the 9 items, just like we hear, we chant, we render service, that the book distribution, as I said, comes in the category of the hearing and the chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam. So, you know, when it's very incredible that when I come here and hear the results of so much of the Prabhupada's books being distributed around Sydney, and in such great numbers. Such great numbers. Of course, in Prabhupada's time, you know, we would go sometimes all night. I remember here in Sydney, Prabhupada asked us to increase the book distribution. So we would go out, I remember early in the morning, around 7, 8 o'clock, and we would go to the train station, underground. Wynyard. It was very hard to stop the people in the morning because they were all rushing to the work. If you've ever been in those tunnels, you know, when the people go to work, or it's very packed up. But nevertheless, because Prabhupada had asked us, we tried our best. We went out there 7 o'clock or something like that, 8 o'clock, and we would go at night. And then on the weekend, we would go like that, we would go to the shopping centres, we would go out to the suburbs, and then we'd go downtown. In the morning we would go in the suburbs, in the afternoon we come to downtown, and then right through the evening, and then later on we would go to the King's Cross, nearby where we got our Govinda's Centre. We would just go there and we would stay. I remember every Saturday was the same thing. We would just stay there till 4 o'clock in the morning, because the people were staying till 4 o'clock. We would be selling the books. And then we come back to the temple for the Mongala. And then we chant around. And then so we would call them marathons. We would do marathons of the book distribution. And we distributed a lot of books. And there was many great book distributors who would sometimes themselves would distribute 100 books. 200 books, something like that, big books, and very empowered. So I thank you very much here in Sydney for your great efforts and encouraging, and the brahmacharis especially are trying very hard. And we can see the enthusiasm levels, that how everyone is very enthusiastic. Automatically you're going to be enthusiastic, because book distribution is not so easy to go out and try to sell someone. Generally people in the Kali Yuga, they don't want to know about the spiritual life. They want to concentrate on their activity. For them it is like a dot on the horizon. You know, just like, you know, you may be looking and there's a dot and you just, you know, just temporarily see it, and you move on to looking somewhere else. So for most people, they don't even think. So to go out and try to introduce to Krishna, now I hear some of you are going door to door also. We were doing like that also in the beginning days. We started like that. In the beginning days we weren't thinking so much to go in the street, but we were going door to door. So we would go in the Dodi and the Kurta, door to the Bangalore. We had everything. We had the books, we had posters, we had incense, we had everything from the spiritual sky, and we would sell all the things. And you know, some people, they wouldn't even open the door. But other people, they came to the door. And I remember even for my Guru Dakshina, you know, when I got initiated, now you're being initiated, you have to give the Guru Dakshina to the Guru. So, what is that? I didn't know anything. Oh, you have to give some offering to the guru out of thanks, out of gratitude, because now you're getting initiated. Oh, okay. So you just go in the, what do I give? We'll just go in the area and ask the people to give something. So I would go like that. I have some books like that, and at the initiation I would just knock on the door, and I would just stand there. Hare Krishna, I'm from the Hare Krishna Center nearby here. And now I'm being initiated by my Guru Maharaj. I would just say straight. And and this traditionally, one is supposed to give the offering to the Guru at this particular time. So I'm asking if you can please help and give some offering. And we have some nice books here, everything like that. So, many, I actually got quite a lot of offerings. Some of them, I said, oh, yeah, I can come back. Some came back with the eggs. Remember, one person came back with half a dozen eggs. I said, thank you very much, but we're not taking the eggs. Oh, I'm very sorry. I can't remember what they came back with, but then the second one was all right. Anyway, I had a whole lot of things, and someone gave me some honey. We heard Prabhupada liked honeycomb. And, so we would offer honeycomb to Prabhupada, and honey like that. And then we simultaneously we would sell the books, we would sell the magazines, and Prabhupada was very, very happy. It gave him life, definitely. I'm very happy, and I'm very amazed, because just in a matter of a few years, isn't it? Because before, Sydney devotees would be selling the books and everything, but not so many. And now the Sydney devotees have become inspiration for the whole of the Australia Yatra and New Zealand Yatra, everything. Other temples are becoming inspired to hear about, the Sydney devotees. They're distributing, and actually in the beginning days we were like that. We would hear about the devotees in Melbourne or the devotees in Adelaide or Perth or something, or they were doing such nice, they were selling so many books, and we would be inspired ourselves. So I thank you very much for helping us, as I said yesterday in our dinner. I'm thanking the devotees for helping build the temple, and also I'm thanking you for pushing on the book distribution. This is very inspiring, and I'm glad, because we're thinking that the disciples of Prabhupada, we knew how important that was to Srila Prabhupada. So in the form of the book, or in the form of, we distribute in so many different ways, on the internet, many sales of the books are there in the street. I think that, there's one thing that when people meet a devotee and take the book like that, I think it has so much more benefit, because they have some personal contact, and we find that, and we found in the early days of the Krishna that when we would go out and meet people, just talk to people, maybe give them a magazine, quite often they would come to the programs, they would come to the temple, and actually our whole movement increased that way. Some became full-time devotees, others they were working, had families, but they would come like that. So I think it's a very, and I noticed the difference in the level of enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness now that here in Sydney, now that the book distribution has become a very priority. So thank you again, Hare Krishna, and I look forward to being with you again and hearing some more book distribution results. So Prabhupada ki Jai, book distribution ki Jai, Priyat Madanga ki Jai, Gopamanandi Jai.